So the plan is still very much the same. We've come back into some major highs on the weekly chart, which we've been speaking about for a while. We've seen a big rejection of the high here. Price just about made some new highs, but overall failed to sustain them. And we came down pretty hard last week with that really strong bearish engulfing candle. So with that said, I am looking at some more downside for the dollar. It may just be a retracement for price to have that bigger breakout at some point in time. That could be the case, but at this moment, we have seen price break structure here very comfortably, and I'm looking at a lower high developing for a move down. I drew the Fibonacci from the low to the high to the low actually yesterday, and I was talking about the 0.5 area, which also lines up with the resistance level here on the left, basically giving us that head and shoulder pattern. So you got the left shoulder over here. Let's turn that white left shoulder over there. You got the head over there, and of course you got the right shoulder in that area. So that's really where I'm looking for price to push into. It was a nice wick yesterday, but it would be nice if price was to go and push, tag that area of confluence, and then probably from here we might see that drop to the downside. So that's really what I'm looking at for the DXY. That's the setup I have for USD, expecting more weakness. And as I suggested yesterday, these are the areas I'm looking for price to come back and retest. 105.300 over there, and of course we do have a lovely 104.6 here as well. Those are the two levels on the 4 hour, which looks logical for price to come back and retest. Maybe we might continue to the upside from there, or maybe we might break further, but realistically that's a move that I'm looking for price to go through. But first I do want to see a pullback into this area here roughly, and then the continuation, and then there's some setups on USD which do align pretty well with that setup there on the dollar. So taking that information into EURUSD, we've literally got the inverse of that setup. Not as clear though, because we didn't break structure to the upside, as we can see. So that's really what I was wanting to see with Euro yesterday. Well, Euro for the past week really is that break of structure to the upside and then the pullbacks afterwards, because then that invalidates that bearish bias or that bearish structure there at least, and tells me that the market is shifting to bullish structure, and now can be looking for some higher lows. But again, if I expand to the higher time frames, it's the same situation. Price has of course wicked through that low but failed to sustain that, and now price is trading back above that level of support. So the idea is I'm expecting a bit of a bounce now to the upside. The market's still pretty stretched as well, so I do think we're naturally due a pullback anyway, and especially because of where we're trading, it makes a lot of sense to expect some upside. However, price action isn't quite there yet for Euro for me to be looking to long myself anyway. Seeing some evidence of the market slowing down, which is great, which is a great sign. But in terms of actually finding some setups, this is really what I'm looking for, the break of the high, and then hopefully some pullbacks shortly afterwards. And we can take that to the upside as well, similar targets as the dollar. So back to this area here, 1.07, back to this low, 1.077, just below 1.08. So these are the areas I'm expecting Euro to come back and retest. And like I said, with dollar, it might just be a pullback for price to continue lower, potentially. We don't know. But all I can say is that price is really having a tough time trying to break for the lows there. It looks like momentum is starting to shift. It's already shifted on the dollar. I'm kind of waiting Euro to do that as well and take out the highs. But the plan is still looking for buys for Euro. We are looking a tad bearish this morning, but I'm not really interested in the sales. As I suggested on the weekly chart, this is bullish territory for me. Maybe the market is going to break through the low, but I'd wait for price to do that first, go and break through the low first, and then I'll start speaking about some selling opportunities afterwards. But as long as we're trading in this area of support, I cannot be looking for any selling opportunities. This is not the best area, especially for a swing trader, to be looking to short Euro. In terms of pound USD, which actually does look a lot better because we did get a nice break of structure with this one. However, I do want to see a slightly deeper pullback because the setup that arose yesterday with that nice bullish engulfing candle there just before I hopped on stream yesterday did look good, but the risk reward was very skewed. It was less than 1-to-1 back to the high, which is not something I would look to take because it doesn't really give me an opportunity to trail stops to break even or even secure partials at a 1-to-1. So that's why I have stayed at the market. But again, the theory is the same. We form the left shoulder over here, head. Now I'm looking at that right shoulder. What I would like to see for pound USD is one more push to the downside Hopefully that will align with the DXY as well. As I said yesterday, if the dollar can have one more push up and then sell, that will give pound USD one more push down and then probably a nice buy. And again, for pound USD, expecting a push to the upside as well. Market's very, very stretched. I do think we could be forming another higher low on the higher time frames. You can see we had a massive swing to the upside from this low to that high. Now we pull back into the 50, 0.618. So this is naturally an area where price can look to bounce from for pound USD. So I will be looking at something like that. I even wouldn't mind a nice double bottom back down at the low here. The price was to come all the way down to the low and give me some rejections at this low. Bit more of an aggressive trade because trying to call the bottom a little bit, but I wouldn't mind to take a double bottom in this area. And the risk reward looks very, very good if you do get that bounce. I'm still looking for pound USD to push back into this level here, which is at 1.285. So either which way, high, low, or double bottom, I'm still interested. Of course, same thing with the dollar as well. Looking for the high, lower high in this case, or potentially a double top as well. That could be the play, as long as price doesn't break through the high here, of course. If dollar does that, then yeah, we're back bullish again. So that is the plan there with pound, euro, and dollar. Speaking on dollar CAD, I'm still looking for a big sell with this one. Again, still not convinced with the breakout we've had on the weekly, monthly time frames, taking out some key highs on the weekly chart. So I am looking at price potentially forming a bit of a fake out and a big sell to the downside. However, the market structure is still pretty bullish. We're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. So the key thing I want to see is break structure, which is this low here, waiting for price to break through that low and then looking for opportunities afterwards. That way I can stay on the right side of the market. Otherwise, this could potentially actually be a breakout and price potentially could actually still fly to the upside. So if you can get the break of that low, that'd be great. Looking for the low high, maybe a retest of this area. Depends how everything sets up, but something like that could look good. Maybe we form some lower highs like this. Again, still a lot of development needed, but something like that could come around. And yeah, we could be seeing a pretty big move to the downside because where we're trading such a significant level in the higher time frames, if this is just one big fake out, yeah, it could be a real catalyst to get price really selling off. You know, potentially back to this area here at least, or probably a lot further. But that would be the next big significant area I'll be looking for dollar CAD to get to. So I really like the sell. Still a lot of work needed before I start to look for some entries, but it's a setup I've definitely got a close eye on if it does develop. In terms of Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar, now these guys were a little bit bearish yesterday. We had some news for Aussie, I'm pretty sure. So as you can see, Aussie pushing down. And this is actually what I was talking about with Aussie dollar, because I said I wanted to push to 0.64. It looks like we're slowly getting that move, or maybe quickly now. So 0.64 was the area I said I do think price can bounce from. So now that we're coming back to this area, this is where you can look for your reversal patterns and look to anticipate some higher lows and a break of structure and price turning around, because it's been such a significant level in the past. Two really big reactions previously, one over there, of course, and the first one over there. Now coming back down to the same area, you can see the conditions on the market have just been sideways. So there's a good chance we can bounce at this low. Again, nothing's guaranteed, but if we do see some development there and market structure starting to shift, it's a nice sign that, okay, price is likely to have a bit of a bounce, especially if Aussie dollar been falling for the past few weeks now without any kind of major correction, apart from this move here, which wasn't much anyway. And that was off the back of the US elections, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I do like Aussie dollar, looking pretty bearish right now. We've broken out that range, likely going to go and test 0.64 now, and then hopefully we can judge some nice buying opportunities later this week, maybe, or maybe if not early next week. And the USD, similar situation with this one as well. Strong moves to the downside. I was hoping New Zealand dollar could go and break through some structure, but it looks like it just respected the high and is coming back down again. So unfortunately didn't get that break of the high, but if we do come back down and test the low, again, some aggressive buy opportunities could be on the cards. And I say aggressive because, again, still looking to call the bottom, but you're buying in some really nice areas. If we're going to bounce, this is the area I expect it to happen. There could be some nice double bottoms here as we approach back down to 0.58. looking for some opportunities for the bounce and at least push back to where we came from, which is back into the resistance there. I do think we can go a lot further because, of course, if we are going to see a continuation of that range, there's a chance we could push all the way back to the highs at 0.63, but at least the bounce looks pretty likely to me. So some buys on New Zealand dollar around 0.58 look good, anticipating the double bottom essentially, a little bit more aggressive given the fact that momentum's still down. But if we do turn around, could be a really healthy risk to reward opportunity there. And then in terms of gold and silver, again, haven't been such a big fan of both of them. More so gold, not really a market which I'm looking to get involved with. I'm still overall bullish on gold, but not really seeing a good opportunity to take gold to the upside. We had a big break of structure recently, then we broke structure back again to the upside. And then we had a really big spill, and now price is looking very choppy, not really seeing much momentum, either up or down. So I'm not a big fan of the price action for gold. I still do like the shorts here. It's just I don't expect them to go too far given my bullish bias. So there's a nice area supply there. Market stalled there for a few hours before that big drop there on the 4-hour candle. So naturally, price can push back into that same area. There's a good chance of a reaction and another move back down, possibly back to the same low. And also lines up with that resistance on the left as well, taking that across around 26.80. So naturally, this looks like a nice place for a sell. Really strong impulse to the downside, followed by a very corrective move. Normally does mean more downside. It's just that there's a pretty big level of support just underneath us. So I would be very careful in terms of how aggressive you want to be with your targets, because we very much could bounce at this 2600 level. But overall, gold, naturally expecting some buys, but yeah, difficult to see where I can get a solid setup from. And if anything, there could be some shorter term, medium term, if that's the correct way to say it, opportunities back at 26.80 if you're looking to sell. And in terms of silver, I actually do like silver. The setup for me to get involved is not quite there yet, but it looks like it's slowly taking shape. Again, the idea with silver is that we had the lows down here, market creating new highs. Now I'm essentially just looking for the pullback of that move. Looks like we're putting a nice little double bottom here as well. So I'm looking for price to start to go and break structure to the upside, see some higher highs, higher lows, and then my job is to try and catch those same higher lows and take silver to the upside on those entries. And what would be a really nice setup is if we can get a higher low above this level and a retest of that. That'll be a really nice setup. Take that back to the highs and probably a lot further as well. So gold, silver, still very bullish. Just very difficult to find some opportunities at the moment. But hopefully silver does develop pretty soon. All I need to do, all I need price to do is break the highs essentially. And then I'll start looking for some pullbacks. And if you can get some pullbacks above 32.4, above that big daily level, that'll be a really nice opportunity in the near future. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the USD pairs.